What do you see when you look at this picture? Most people would say, a child. Well, most people would be wrong. What you should see is a weapon. These two pictures are basically identical. You might be a bit confused why I'm saying that babies and swords are the same thing, but I'll let the rapper Tyson James explain it to you.
They just a sponge. So train them little kids to be a weapon, cause they the only things you take with you to heaven.
Does that make sense? Kids are sponges, and the best thing to do with sponges is train them to be weapons. SpongeBob? More like Gun Bob. Please fucking kill me. Today we're gonna be taking a look at a rapper by the name of Tyson James. Tyson James is the latest in a string of conservative Christian rappers where the point of the music isn't to be good music, the point is just to virtue signal to other people with their same political beliefs and make them clap. To be clear, I have nothing against Christian rap music. When I was a teenager, I listened to artists like DC Talk, NF, and Lecrae. But the difference between these Christian rappers and Christian rappers like Tyson James is that they actually have musical and lyrical talent. They don't think that just stating your political beliefs over a generic rap beat constitutes good music. The irony is, people like Tyson are always complaining that these days Hollywood is just woke pandering that's completely devoid of any artistic value, but this music is just anti-woke pandering that is completely devoid of any artistic value. If you clicked on this video, chances are you already agree with me that this type of conservative rap is cringe, but the difference between Tyson and these other conservative rappers is that he writes so many songs about children and uses children in his songs. Tyson has multiple songs where he has children rap about how much they love guns, hate LGBT people, and fantasize about murdering people that disagree with them. It is absolutely crazy to me that Tyson believes if a drag queen so much as reads a book to a child, that makes them a groomer, but if he pressures his children into following his extremist religious beliefs and gets them to promote terrorism, that doesn't make him a groomer. The conservative definition of grooming is often completely nonsensical. To them, grooming just means when you teach a child something that they don't like, and if we're going off of that definition of grooming, then I would definitely say that Tyson is a groomer. Before we get into it, let me be clear that I am placing absolutely no blame on these children. At this age, kids just tend to go along with whatever their parents are telling them. Mostly, I just feel bad for them. In this video, any jokes or criticisms I make of these songs or their lyrics are 100% against Tyson, not against his kids. Let me take a second to thank today's sponsor, Air Up. I've got to be completely honest, I'm pretty bad at remembering to stay hydrated. Some days I'll just drink like a bunch of coffee or energy drinks and forget to drink water at all, which is obviously very bad for my health. But recently staying hydrated has become a lot easier for me because of this Air Up water bottle, which allows you to taste flavors using nothing but your sense of scent. All you have to do is place this scent pod on the top of the bottle, sip through the straw, and you can actually taste flavors using your nose. Just make sure to pull up slightly on the scent pod to make sure that it's activated. When I first heard about this, I was a bit skeptical about how well this would work, but I have been so surprised by how much it genuinely changes the flavor of the water and just makes it like way more refreshing to drink. It's not like a super overpowering flavor or anything, it just adds that little bit of an extra kick to make drinking water a lot more enjoyable. And since I've been using the Air Up water bottle, I honestly think I've been staying about twice as hydrated as I was before. I really like this lemon basil flavor because I'm someone who leans towards those more like herbaceous flavors, I guess, but there are a ton of other options as well, like cucumber, watermelon, blueberry, and orangeade. I think Air Up would make a great holiday present because one, it's very practical and it's something that'll actually help people improve their health, And 2, it's super interactive and it's really fun to give someone the bottle and see them experience flavor through scent for the first time. I tried a bunch of these scent pods out with my girlfriend and we had a ton of fun experimenting with these different flavors together. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this holiday season, Air Up is offering 30% off on all orders, but this is only going to be available for a limited time. So click the link in the description to check out Air Up for yourself. Thanks again, Air Up.
Newsflash, you can't change your gender. You are who you are. If God made you a boy, then just be it, cause you can never change it. Trust me, you don't wanna cut it off cause you can't rearrange it.
So right off the bat, Tyson is making his children rap about people cutting their penises off. Personally, I think this is not an appropriate topic for children to be talking about, but I guess Tyson thinks it is.
They wanna mutilate us. I know it's the strangest. It's the devil cause he hates us.
They want to mutilate us. No, I do not. I am completely against mutilating kids. That should go without saying. The only person doing any mutilating here is Tyson mutilating my eardrums with this terrible music. One thing that I've always found kind of weird is that the Christians who are always screaming about child genital mutilation are usually totally fine with child circumcision. I know some people might disagree with me on this, but in my opinion, child circumcision is absolutely genital mutilation. Personally, I am against trans children getting bottom surgeries. I think these types of more extreme surgeries should not be done until people are adults. And I am also against child circumcision because babies cannot consent to you chopping part of their penis off. But these types of Christians are usually in favor of child circumcision. So I am unironically less in favor of child genital mutilation as someone who supports trans people.
It's the devil cause he hates us. Here, let me mansplain this.
Let me mansplain this? You can't mansplain because you're a child. What you're doing right now is called boysplaining. Please get the terminology right.
I don't care about the colors in your flag. That's God's rainbow. It does not belong to the drag. But I might buy one just so I can live.
So you're gonna buy a pride flag just so you can burn it? You do realize that you'd still be giving money to the people who produce the flag. As long as they get your money, I don't think they're gonna care too much if you burn it to virtue signal to your conservative friends. But yeah, like if I ever happen to sell pride merch or something, I dare all conservatives to buy my merch and then burn it. That'll really teach me a lesson as your money funnels into my bank account.
Let the boys be boys. Let us be boys. Let the girls be girls.
Tyson thinks it's so cool having his children strut down the street in this suburban neighborhood wearing Kyle Rittenhouse t-shirts, carrying airsoft machine guns. They really look like they're ready to commit a school shooting in the name of the Lord. Well, I think they're homeschooled, so I guess it would be a homeschool shooting. You know, now that I think about it, if we want to make school shootings less dangerous in America, then we should just make everyone homeschooled. Because when a homeschooled kid wants to commit a school shooting, their only possible targets are their family members. Is that joke too far? I have a right to make this joke because I was a homeschooled kid.
Walking through my hood, Nerf gun like I'm renting house.
Like, this is so insane. Even if I were someone who loved Kyle Rittenhouse, I would not want to encourage my children to be like Kyle Rittenhouse because he almost died. If you care at all about the safety of your children, then you should not be encouraging them to be like Kyle Rittenhouse. This is a perfect example of someone putting their political ideology first over actually caring about the safety of their own children.
Let the boys be boys. Let us be boys. Let the girls be girls. Let the girls be girls.
Okay, if you're a boy, be a boy. When has anyone ever said that boys should not be allowed to be boys? If you think that you're a boy, then be a boy. Why would I fucking care? Never once in my life have I looked at a boy and thought, man, I really wish that boy was a trans girl. That would be insane. Ironically, you are the one who won't let boys be boys, because if a trans boy says that they're a boy, you won't let them be one. So obviously they're not actually saying that they want to let boys be boys. What they're really saying is we want to force you to be a boy if we see you as a boy.
Look, I just want to go outside and climb a couple trees. Let the boys be boys, I don't want your woke disease.
So the whole point of this song is that we should let kids be kids, right? Yet in the song, they're rapping about genital mutilation, they're using slurs.
All this tranny stuff is getting really weird.
They're talking about burning flags and talking about how much they love guns and fantasizing about killing people. None of this is appropriate for children! Tyson, you need to take your own advice and let your kids be kids. Put the camera down, take your kids out of the recording booth, and let them go climb a fucking tree. These are not appropriate topics for children, and you'd think that Tyson would understand this as someone who's always whining about how LGBT people are trying to talk to kids about things that aren't appropriate. Hopefully, even a lot of conservatives can agree with me that Tyson should stop putting his kids in these songs until they're old enough to understand what they're doing, because there's a very likely chance that as these kids get older, they're gonna look back and regret making these songs. If my Christian homeschooled parents had pressured me into making rap songs like this when I was a kid, I would look back and resent them for this, because it's fucking crazy. Kids at this age are way too young to be talking about things like genital mutilation. And Tyson, if you care at all about having logical consistency or moral consistency, then you need to take your own advice, let your kids be kids, and take them out of your damn songs. Let's look at a few more of Tyson's songs. The first song I ever heard from Tyson was a clip from his song Still Two Genders, which is a sequel to his song Two Genders. Because when you have a successful song, why not just release a sequel to the song, where you recycle the same beat, but this time you add a child to it? Coming soon, Baby by Justin Bieber Part 2, this time with real babies. The song Two Genders is a thoughtful deconstruction of the concept of gender, where Tyson opens up to his audience in a vulnerable display of emotion and explains that he feels trapped within the gender binary and how he yearns to be free from the prison of gender. Just kidding, it's a song about how trans people are stupid and how there's only two genders.
God made your body and you're just the renter. He's the inventor and he only made two genders. Two genders. He only made two genders. Only two.
This song has just so little artistic value. It's all things that you've heard a million times before. Listening to this is like watching paint dry, or like listening to paint dry that's been poured into your ear canal and now the paint is slowly encrusting your eardrums. There's really not that much to say about this song other than it's a middle-aged man prancing around his front lawn rapping about genders. I did really like this one line where he says, "There's only two genders, man, look at the birds."
There's only two genders, man, look at the birds.
Like if you look at enough birds, that's gonna somehow convince you that non-binary people don't exist. Like, I used to support trans people, but then I took up bird watching, and once I saw the blue-footed booby in its natural habitat, then I knew transgenderism was debunked. This line is also funny because there are actually birds that scientists have determined have more than two sexes. The white-throated sparrow actually has 4 different distinct sex groups because some of them have inverted chromosomes. So trying to prove that there are only two genders by looking at birds ain't gonna work because there are birds with more than two genders. And when I say genders, I actually mean sexes because conservatives conflate that gender and sex are the same thing. In the song, he lists a bunch of things that he thinks proves that there are only two genders, like that men are straight and women have curves.
Men should be straight and women have curves. You just shaking your fist up at God, you got nerve.
So are you saying that if a man is curvy enough, then they become a woman? How many curves does a man have to have before they go woman mode? He says, look between their legs. That'll prove that there are only two genders.
Whatever's between your two legs is the proof.
Well, what about the people who are born with both sets of genitalia? He says, you're assigned one at birth, and that's the one you're stuck with.
You were assigned assigned one at birth.
Well, what about the people who have been assigned female at birth because they have vaginas, but then later in life they found out that they actually have XY chromosomes, which is a condition known as Swyer syndrome? People say chromosomes prove there's only two genders. Well, what about people with abnormal chromosomes? People say gametes prove there's only two genders. Well, what about people who are born with the tissue to produce both types of gametes, which is known as ovotesticular DSD? Science clearly shows that there are more than two sexes because intersex people exist. But people like Tyson just keep yapping that we need to listen to science while putting absolutely no effort into actually listening to science.
I love the science and it says there's only two genders.
Is any of this surprising? No, of course not. Dudes like this will only say that we need to listen to science when it supports their worldview. As groundbreaking and innovative as the song Two Genders was, I am personally a much bigger fan of his later work, Still Two Genders, where he recycles the same rap beat, but this time adds a child.
Toby James coming in hot. What are we talking about? What is the plot? If you are a Susie, you can't be a Scott. I know it's a doozy, can't be what you're not. Ain't getting to heaven with nail paint. It's gonna be hot where you're going, that's Hellgate.
One thing I find really strange is that Tyson and his son are celebrating how all of these trans people are gonna burn in hell. Isn't the goal of Christianity to try to save people from going to hell? And don't you believe that anyone can be saved if they put their faith and trust in Jesus? So why would you assume that all of these trans people are going to hell? When your focus has turned away from trying to show people God's love, and now you're just prancing around acting all giddy at the fact that a bunch of people are gonna go to hell, at that point you've completely turned your back on the entire goal of Christianity, which should be to bring as many people to Jesus as possible. This is what's known in Christianity as the Great Commission, from Matthew 28:16 through 20, where God tasks Christians with bringing as many people to Christianity as possible. And the way to bring people to Christianity is by convincing them that your religion is best. And you don't convince people that your religion is best by laughing in their face about how excited you are that they're gonna burn in hell. And because this type of content is so actively terrible at getting people to convert to your religion, I would argue that what you're doing directly goes against what God is calling you to do in the Bible. As I'm sure you can see at this point, other than putting kids in his songs, Tyson is a pretty run-of-the-mill, average, boring Christian conservative rapper. But there is one other thing that sets Tyson apart from other conservative rappers, and that's how he advocates for terrorism. In his song Roe v. Wade, he threatens to kill women who have gotten abortions.
Roe v. Wade, y'all crazy. What kind of drugs y'all on? Why y'all smoke? You wanna kill a baby in the womb? Not cool, now y'all are done. No more fun, you pink-haired demon, we making you run. You kill another baby and I'm getting my gun. Get the rape and I'm sending you straight to the sun.
And he implies that people should start blowing up abortion clinics.
Let's burn it down with the sound of a boom. I got the fire, if you got the fume, we can send them so high they will fly to the moon.
In another song, he says he wants to go to a politician's house and pull a Rittenhouse, implying that he wants to kill politicians if they try to take his guns away.
Y'all about to make me pull a Rittenhouse. Bring the muscle, pull up at a politician house. Come and take it the two-way and make you listen now.
All of this is him pretty blatantly advocating for terrorism. And because Tyson has to bring kids into everything, in his song Roe v. Wade, he has 5 little kids dancing around, rapping about how much they want to kill women who have gotten abortions. This might be a bit of a hot take, but it's bad to teach kids to kill people. Tyson might respond to this by saying, oh, well, the abortion clinics commit acts of terrorism against babies, so that's why it's okay to commit acts of terrorism against them. Good point, Tyson. You have clearly read the Bible, especially the passage where Jesus says, "He who lives by the sword dies by the sword." I'm sure Jesus would definitely approve of all these rap songs you've made about how you're basically in love with your guns. The way he raps about his gun legitimately sounds like he wants to have sex with it.
Look, he protect me when the sun down. When I pull him out, criminals get the run now.
I need a big, strong gun to protect me when the sun goes down.
This my Glock, he Gucci, I'ma put him on the map. This my Call of Duty, and he moody when he clap.
This dude really said, my gun is moody when he claps. Does that not sound like a sexual undertone to you? Fuck yeah, clap for me, gun. To be fair, I guess the Bible does say he who lives by the sword dies by the sword, not he who lives by the gun dies by the gun, so I'm sure that Jesus would approve of you fucking your gun. Now, as I'm sure you're all well aware, here on the Ryan Beard channel, we are freedom of speech warriors who would never advocate for someone to get banned from social media. But I will say that it is against YouTube's terms of service for extremists to promote acts of violence. And here is Tyson wearing a shirt calling himself an extremist, and here is Tyson advocating for killing women.
You kill another baby and I'm getting my gun. Get the rape and I'm sending you straight to the sun.
So do with that knowledge what you will. Tyson has apparently gotten banned from social media multiple times and had his music pulled down from multiple streaming services. And of course, whenever this happens, Tyson uses this as proof that the woke mob is coming for him, and this causes him to become an even bigger extremist. It's just a never-ending cycle of stupidity. The question of whether or not people like Tyson should be banned from social media platforms is a bit of a complicated one, because I do see the argument that when you ban people like this, it just causes them to get into even more extreme right-wing echo chambers. But on the other hand, I see why social media companies wouldn't want to host videos where he's having kids rap about killing people, and limiting the spread of this type of harmful content can lead to better outcomes, so I'm definitely not going to be upset if Tyson ends up banned from every social media platform. And it's also good to remember that people like Tyson who claim to care about freedom of speech usually don't actually give a fuck about freedom of speech, because you know that if they ever happen to come into power, they would not be extending freedom of speech to the LGBT community. So what do we do about people like Tyson? Well, hopefully we can convince people who are more in the middle to see that the things Tyson is advocating for are insane, and that the LGBT community actually isn't as crazy as people like Tyson make us out to be. And we can keep pointing out the hypocrisy that people like Tyson accuse the LGBT community of grooming while they groom their kids into terrorism. Other than that, I guess do whatever you can to keep yourself safe from psychos like this dude, because unfortunately, things are probably gonna get worse before they get better. Recently, I've been kind of questioning what my role is as a commentary YouTuber, because as fun as it is to dunk on crazy people like Tyson, sometimes I start to feel like I'm kind of just telling you what you already know. I'm sure most of the people watching this video already agree that people like Tyson are insane idiots. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with the type of content where you find a bad person and just explain why you think they're bad, but I just haven't been finding it super creatively fulfilling, so I'm gonna change things up a bit. Also, keep your eyes open in the next couple weeks, because I have an announcement of something that I have been waiting to tell you about for such a long time. I'm a bit anxious about it because I've been working on this behind the scenes for quite a while now, but I'm really excited to hear what you think about it. So keep your eyes open for that. So anyway, I'll see you then, but before that, I will leave you with this.
The Second Amendment means that I can do whatever I want to do with my gun. And I'd like to see you pink-haired demons try to stop me. I'm about to fuck my gun. When I get to shooting, all these demons better run. I'm gonna cock it with my cock, use my semen as a magazine and come inside my Glock. There's a reason God gave me a prostate. When I stick it in my ass, I always keep the Glock straight. And I never use the safety. You don't need a condom to fuck a gun safely. No abortions, cause I can't get him pregnant. Fill him up with semen while I fill you up with lead, bitch. Premarital sex, that is a sin. Premarital sex with guns, that's a fucking win, yo. I'm about to fuck my gun. I'ma send you pink-haired demons straight to the sun. My Lord Jesus is the one I give my thanks. With my AR-15, you know I'm never shooting blanks. I'm like Kyle Rittenhouse when I get aroused. Pull up to your house and go to town on every gun that's sitting round. You better lock your guns up tight, because I'm about to start coming on every gun in sight. You commies Enemies wanna take my rights while I'm pulling down my pants, because now it's time to fight. I know his gentle caress will keep me safe at night. Got my gun and my lube and I'm turning out the lights.